They're basically carrying around giant, like, 10-foot blades. That sounds like a risky thing to have on set.
If those run into you, they chop that part of you off.
The music video for OK Go's new song, Love, is a perfect example of how they've just kept reinventing the genre for a long time. It all started 19 years ago with the video that etched itself in YouTube history.
Chad at youtube.com wrote us a personal email being like, I got a cool website I'm starting. You should put something on it.
And after all this early success on the internet, they actually decided to cut ties with their record label, Capitol Records, and they've never looked back. Damian Kulash is the visionary behind all of OK Go's music videos, which start as these simple and playful ideas, but the execution is just unbelievable.
This piece of work will not do anything for our band or for the world at large if it is A-.
But their videos aren't polished and glossy. You can see the scenes everywhere. You're showing us the magic trick, and then you're showing us how you do the magic trick. You're almost like proving to us this is real.
That's the part of trying to keep people in the room with you, because like increasingly everything is possible and therefore nothing is special.
Damian invited us to his studio to watch the video before it went up and fully nerd out over the whole thing, one frame at a time. This video is an amazing magic trick. And the beautiful thing about this video is you show us how you do the magic trick, and then you show us the magic trick, and it's still amazing. And I want to see if we can get to the bottom of how you are able to do all those things at once.
Let's do it.
And 3, 2, 1, 2. Robot. Music.
Have you seen the Dance of a Thousand Hands, I think it's called? There's a deaf Chinese dance troupe, which by itself, take a moment. A deaf dance troupe, right? They follow a visual lead.
Wow.
We didn't want to exactly remake that, but we wanted this set of robots to be a 10-armed beast, not 10 one-armed beasts.
Yes.
You know?
I just realized as you were saying that, I was like, oh, this is a pretty long lens at this point. It's not like a super long lens, but we're not wide right now. Do you happen to know about what we're at?
This lens goes from roughly a 15 to a 42.
Okay.
And right now we're a little bit digitally pushed in on top of that. We're somewhere around 60 or 70.
Okay.
If we're talking in 35 terms.
Right, sure.
So the interesting thing about this video is that every trick we're doing is either it needs to be really wide or really long.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because we're doing it as a single shot, it has to be a zoom lens. And nobody makes broad ranges of zooms that are also small physically, because they have to physically fit in a bunch of spaces later in the video.
Yeah.
So for this, we want to be as long as we can to compress the space.
Right.
And then later, when we go into kaleidoscopic stuff, that the difference between a 21 millimeter lens and a 13 is everything inside of a kaleidoscope, right?
Yeah.
Like even a 13 and a 17, which both those are like wide angle lenses to me, but a 17 is like kind of cool and a 13 is mind blowing.
Because you're just seeing the full edges of the space. So you're seeing like
because the reflections are none of them are here,
right?
They're only on the sides, and
yeah.
so everything is about how wide your lens is.
So then how much space? Because the other thing that like. When I saw you walking through here, I was just like, like I thought you were going to be fucking chopped up by the like Tesla assembly line arm robots, and then you somehow like navigate your way through. Did you ever get hurt or hit, or is there like considerable gap between the arms?
There is very little space between those arms, but they're universal robots, and universal robots, when they touch you, stop.
Ah.
Universal Robots is a company of robots. This I don't mean all robots, but
yeah.
These are fantastic robots. Not only can you feel safe with them because they will stop when they touch you, but also you can program them by moving them to a position, and that's your keyframe.
Oh, that's sick.
It is really cool. And like this company lent us the robots for this, and it would be absolutely undoable without them. And they're like, my mind is blown by how cool their tech is.
Are all of the robots this manufacturer?
All of them until the last 4. They don't make ones big enough to carry the huge walls at the end of this video. Those are Kukas.
Okay.
If those run into you, they chop that part of you off.
Weren't you? I mean, that sounds terrifying, though. Like, how are you? That sounds like a risky thing to have on set.
The team dealing with them were great.
Because they're basically carrying around giant, like, 10-foot blades.
Yeah, but the guy, first of all, I can't, this like really warms my heart. The Christoph, who was the operator and programmer of the last 4 robots, the really big ones, didn't tell me till after we finished the shoot. He was like, I didn't want to say this before, but the reason I got into this business was because I saw one of your videos using a robot before, and I wanted to make that. And I was like, ah! But he was like the most beautifully artistic technologist I've met in a long time.
Awesome.
You know, who like, we'd come to him and be like, we've got this program, but we needed to do more this than that. And he would be like, okay. He wouldn't be like, I could do that in 5 minutes. He's like, that takes me 90 minutes. And,
right.
it would, you know, it's like, it was very accurate with his like tech side,
Yeah.
but very understanding of what the creative needs were. And
Wow.
that's really rare.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
What a
really
great
wonderful.
combo.
I've got hit there before. There was a few takes that like I just leaned
During the
over.
leaning?
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
or like if I don't walk exactly right, like I had to be behind the second and in front of the third a little bit. And if I look down to see a mark or like look sideways to see where I am, it kind of ruins the vibe. But it would just stop.
One of the things that makes your videos so great, I think, and one of the consistent threads throughout them all and just about the vision is that we sort of see your videos feel like the behind the scenes and the music video at the same time. Feels like we're watching both.
Good. That's the part of trying to keep people in the room with you. You
Yeah.
know, like that what we want is for there to be an event that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you to be there, experience the awesome event with us.
Yeah.
And obviously that takes a great deal of choreography of the eyeball of the viewer, right? Of the camera and of the tech and everything. But the effect, we don't ever want you to be watching a movie, right? Because
Right.
Increasingly everything is possible and therefore nothing is special.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, much more so now that AI can make this in a heartbeat, you know?
Right.
But this was
But it
already
can't.
no, not this, but
You can't make this.
yet.
Yeah.
But even 10 years ago, before generative AI was the discussion, it was already the case that we've seen so many Star Wars movies that take us so wonderfully into outer space that being in outer space is not that special.
Right.
You need a great movie, like that, great, but literally being in like zero gravity, for instance, is way more mind-blowing when it's done by a bunch of dudes obviously in a plane where it's really imperfect than it is when it's perfect and in Star Trek.
Exactly.
You know? With this video in particular, the challenge was to make sure that you always see how the trick is working, because especially when we get to kaleidoscopes, they're so similar to CG perfection, right? Like each
Exactly.
that you need to see how it comes together. If you don't, it's just a cool effect.
So that's what you guys do masterfully in this video is like each section of the video, you're showing us the magic trick and then you're showing us how you do the magic trick. And each time the trick gets a little bit more impressive. So by the time we get to the ending and we think, oh, this is just CG Kaleidescope, we're like, no, it's not. They showed us every little piece of the magic trick sequentially. You're almost like proving to us this is real, is kind of what the first chunk of the video does.
Totally. Like, that is all true. And you need to feel it rather than think it.
Yes.
You know, that is how we stumbled into this type of filmmaking, was that we made a practice tape of a ridiculous dance we were going to do on stage for Michel Gondry.
Yeah.
Michel Gondry had this amazing idea he was going to do with a big dance thing, and we were known for these ridiculous dances we do on stage, or sort of a piss take thing. So we recorded one in my backyard to be like, look, we've heard that you have this thing that you're going to do with some rapper named Kanye something, but we're the dance band. Never got a response from him for obvious reasons, but that little thing went viral before YouTube.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is it about this thing? And realized that it was like being there in the yard, watching these people do this ridiculous thing, that like the homemadeness of it was in exactly why it mattered. If you'd done that in a studio, you'd just be like, why can't these guys dance? And what the fuck are they doing?
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, totally. It's there's a what makes this special is the creativity, not the budget.
Right, and that like even as the budgets have grown and our ambitions have grown, the most difficult part is always that like it will always be about resourcefulness.
Yes.
Like
Well said.
What you need to do is like what's the way that we show that this is real, you know, and the expensive answer is always the opposite. It's like you get the really expensive flame artist to hide everything, which is like doesn't work.
Right.
You know?
Right. Cool. So cool. Oh, I love that moment where we see the rig behind you and we're like, oh my God, there's this giant rig behind you. That's such a beautiful little moment.
Yeah, I love seeing the rig, and I love the show your work quality of this, and I love the guys who are running with the camera. We'll see later, like to hold it up over things. Like their whole job is to not bump into things generally, and we're like, when the camera lands, if it goes like thunk, that's good,
right?
And they're like, no, we have to soft land it. And you're like, no, we want to know that like the camera just landed. Like
right.
if it's perfect, it turns into floaty, omniscient eye again. Like. Just do what the human does.
Again, you're like, you're giving us the behind the scenes and the video at the same time, which is one of the things that makes it so special. God, that's...
No robots.
Yes.
Like this is the first trick that like in our playing, like so the process for this is that I wrote a text to my friend Aaron Duffy. I was like, I want to do a thing with mirrors that I think will require robots. Do you know any great robots people? And he was like, yes, I sure do. And he and Miguel, who is the great robot guy, and I and two members of the band spent a week playing. We just got like 30 different mirrors of different sizes and spent a week in an office just playing with them. And like the test for this is identical to this, except I'm wearing different clothes, and because it's just two people holding two mirrors.
And what's actually happening here, there's two mirrors.
Two mirrors, that's it.
That they just squish around you as closely as they can.
Yeah, like so my arms right now, as soon as
Right.
you see my arms leave,
Right.
I'm pushing the mirror against my head to make it go as tight as possible.
Your arms are like this, and you're like, okay, so
Yeah.
you're trying to get it as tight as possible.
Because yeah, you want like if there's any space there, you don't get the weird hair ring. You
right,
know?
right. Beautiful little circle.
So and Andy and Dan, you can see Dan's hands are still here, and Andy, so they have to be at a new position soon. So as soon as they're off camera, they tear off that way. And Tim is standing right behind here, and there's two stagehands who are helping him to do what you'll now see him come through. But all of the optical stuff is just two flat mirrors.
Right. Unbelievable.
Pull away, Chloe. Never fails.
Oh, it's such a good trick. It's so satisfying. It's just a lovely little moment.
And it just feels like when we get it right, it feels like cheating, because it really does feel like these ideas are just sitting there waiting for you. Like we didn't make this. I stood between my parents' mirrors and was like, no way, like I didn't do that. That's there,
right.
And seeing a line of people like this is just, it's astonishing that this is just geometry.
I think that's part of also what makes this so wonderful, and then for someone like me, painful to watch. Which, by the way, is the best compliment I can give to another artist.
I totally know what you mean.
Is that no one thing is like inaccessible to me. I have all of pull away. I can go buy pull away clothing.
Yep.
I can take two mirrors and put them around my head. Like it's all just the combination and execution and resourcefulness of it that is such a fucking creative flex. That's what hurts. Is that it's like, oh,
and I know
so
you've got
good.
29 robots sitting around too, right? No, I know exactly what you mean. When it's working at its best, the whole thing is like you could make this at home.
Yeah.
And like the one we made before this was all it was 64 single shots on 64 phones just laid out, and like nobody has 64 phones. That's expensive, but you and your friend could both record one long shot on your phones and put them next together and make something more interesting than any one thing. And always we're trying to like focus back on just the human thing, right? That like it takes a long time. Most things don't work. Most sets of chords put together don't make something good, right?
Yeah.
In fact, the same three chords that make all the Beatles songs awesome made all the worst pop songs ever. Like that there's not, you just have to spend the time to do it.
Yeah.
But if you do,
right.
Speaking
of spending the time to do it, start to finish, what are we talking about for a project like this?
First meeting was in August, and it was in the can by February. So 6-ish.
And is this like all your time for all those months?
The last 2 months is definitely full time, and there's two solid weeks of the key crew members being all together in room and testing before that.
Yeah.
So not a thing you could do as not your job. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Got it.
Music's invented again. Here comes Tim. This also, every time I see that part.
And the way that this curves right when the hat's coming off, it's just beautiful.
He takes off his own hat, of course. He's doing the same thing. He goes like this, and then once they've got it, he's holding the mirrors against his head, and then once they're in the right place,
right,
the two guys have a cue. The audio we're listening to is the song with very loud cues from me, going and up, and now, and turn.
Right. Okay. And so, what is happening to the mirrors?
Yeah. So the mirrors are. What happens in the beginning of that?
I have to poop.
Looks like my kids have been here. I have to poop.
Actually, that was me earlier, but
sorry.
I couldn't find the bathroom.
So when I lie down, the mirrors come like this, right? Right. I lie back and they do this.
Right.
And
then the camera's here.
Then the camera's there. The camera looks up now, from down here to up at me, right?
Right.
Then the cameras go. Then the mirrors do that to let Tim's head in, and they go like that.
Okay, so it's like a different angle of the same, or different angle.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is you're winding up with him. He's now, if you put this 90 degrees, he is now doing exactly the same thing I did lying back.
Right.
The mirrors just got there from a different
got it.
way.
Got it. Cool. Oh, and right on the bam, right there, the snap of those mirrors coming out is just.
This is something that I wouldn't have known is that different or special if it weren't for the co-directors I've worked with all noting it in sort of the same way, especially Aaron Duffy, who worked on this with me, is that the same way that you take lyrics and try to pull a dimension out of this ball of feeling that was there with the sounds. With the videos, we've now got this full finished song. We're trying to pull a dimension out of that, right? But it's still the song. And so when we're sitting there with a stack of plexi mirrors to test with in an office somewhere just to see what we can make, we're coming up with a timeline for the song and listening to the song and going, the only song there's ever done. That's it's all about these moments, musical moments. And in fact, these rotating mirrors should match the diving guitar that you hear. So here it goes and in the scramble room of nothingness. So we're trying to match those musical feelings, right? You get to the chorus, and what we wanted was the most staccato color changes behind me for bom, 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 bom. That's just begun. Dun, 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 dun. And because it's done by a human, what you wind up with is right, but what he's trying to get is dun, 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 and I've realized that in the end it doesn't matter that much if we nail all those things as long as we plan all those things, because it'll still move musically. You know what I mean?
And it still creates the feeling. Yeah. Can we just talk? There's something right here. So that super distorted snare that happens, that explosion sets us up okay, something's changing now. We're also a minute in, so we're there's probably a chorus coming.
Yeah, here it comes.
Okay, musically, the song has exploded at this point. But we're still moving into place, and we don't get the visual explosion until 7 seconds later.
This is the big fight. So when we're doing the test for this, each part generally is sort of optimized for wouldn't it be awesome? So now I'm in a kaleidoscope, and it's going bam, bam, bam. But because you got to see the work, you're either going to pull out all the transition getting there, or you're going to pull some magic out of the top of this.
Right.
If you're just optimizing for this part, I would love to have been love, dun, 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 right behind me.
That's what I would have thought as well.
Yeah, and that was the first plan. It would have taken so much out of the section before to get there that it was sort of we always thought of it as two sections of dun, 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 ba, da, ba, and then started thinking of it instead as a section before and after the word been. So the only song there's ever been.
Right. And then you see the break.
Right.
So that was what you just described is what I figured happened. But I think the way it turns out is actually stronger than if it hit right on the chorus. And the reason is because everything is changing now. The smoothness. I'm like, what the fuck is, like, my anxiety is going through the roof in that first, because I know something's coming. This is the chorus. Like, you're going to blow my mind, but I don't know what yet. And there's something that makes it, like, extra engaging, that the audio and video sync is like 7 seconds removed there. And it feels better to me than if it had hit right at the moment.
I remember when I kind of came to this realization. We were in Barcelona doing the tests. I was staying in a hotel, and I was, as ridiculous as it sounds for me, I was on a treadmill at the hotel and trying to like work through this moment and listening to the song over and over again. And that's when I remember being like, it could be the only song there's ever been, but it wasn't conscious to me until you just said it, that like that's where that actually is where it lands.
Yeah, because it's also musically. Wait, let's just think of this. Yeah, bum, bum.
The only song there's ever bummed. I think it's 4,
Yeah,
1, 1, 4, 4,
Yeah.
5, or 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 1. You know.
And but it matches the tension and release of that riff and the harmony and everything. It matches it perfectly.
You catch Dan singing in the background vocals. There?
That's great.
This also, a friend of mine was like, "Why is Dan the only one who's not in brown?" And that is why. Is that when he shows up here, he will be like, what we wanted this to be before we knew we could get this beautiful space. Everything was going to be black and white until the choruses, and practically black and white. Like we'd never shoot in black and white,
Right.
but everybody's just. And once we got into the space, we were like, this whole space is essentially sepia toned black and white.
Yes.
Like everything is this. So everybody's in brown and white.
Desaturated vibes. Yeah.
Exactly. Until we get to the choruses when he pulls out his rainbow umbrella and his pink sweatshirt.
So is that's just a rainbow umbrella behind you?
Yeah, if you like, there he is with his umbrella.
Right there.
Right, that's the umbrella, and this is a pool noodles, 3 colors on this side, 2 colors on the other side, just glued together.
And you're showing us first. You're like, here's what we're gonna use.
Yeah, I mean, we would have, if there was an elegant way to hide them, we might have, but we want to show you at some point.
Yeah.
But you do, like, I love that this is like effectively black and white, but there are these hints, you know, and it's like we're not trying to be perfect about it.
Right. That's the thing, is you see the imperfections. Okay, is this one mirror?
Yeah.
And that's a flat mirror here?
Yeah, this is all one mirror. This is all one mirror.
Yeah.
It might be easier to see it coming together.
Right.
So here's one mirror. It's a big piece of cardboard with 1/8-inch plexi on it, LED strip along the side so that we get on the back, right? So this is the one that comes in front of me. I am standing in front of one almost like this that is just on a table that can be removed by the stage.
And that's space for your body.
Yeah. So as this comes in, that goes right up against my body. Again, these are the type that if they hit me, they'll just stop anyway. So it's not scary to be in there.
And that push in is so satisfying, because it's like we go from seeing the effect to like full inside the effect. Okay, wait, a question about color here.
Yeah.
Are you doing any correction at this point? Because something about it looks like chroma and shiny, and the pinks look,
I mean, this has been color
fluorescent.
corrected, but this is also not, I mean, you know, this is shot on an Alexa, so like it's very, very wide range. But it's all real.
Yeah.
One thing that I this is kind of nerdy, but that I find totally fascinating. I'm going to make a little triangle for us to look down. This is what a kaleidoscope looks like, right?
Yeah.
Your basic kaleidoscope. A wide-angle lens in here sees all the reflections, right?
Yeah.
But what I'll sort of imagine is like if you look down this, you're seeing a triangle on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And that triangle is more or less the flat thing that is going to replicate everywhere.
Right.
But it's not. What's so cool is that if you go into here with a wide-angle lens that sees this wide, you also see out the back that way because the reflections you're seeing. So what's so cool about like the reason why this stripes situation here is not at all the same as this is because you're seeing
out
this
the other side of the triangle.
You're seeing like if you come into here with a wide angle lens, you're also seeing out of there with the same wide angle.
So you're seeing shit that's literally over here in the room with the camera here.
Yes. And it is, and I mean, of course, it's super disorienting. You don't know where it is, but this will come back later when we're in the same big version of this thing. But that like no matter how many times I kept being reminded of this, I would be like, okay, just put something back here that would color it. But this doesn't make a very interesting image. This does.
Yes.
It's so fascinating.
And so at this point, you've zoomed all the way out. You're at 13 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 15, I think.
15,
yeah.
okay.
15. All of our tests were done with an iPhone and on 0.5.
Okay.
That's roughly a 13.
Okay.
And we had to readjust everything for the 15 that we could get.
Okay, got it. And then when that just pops out, beautiful. I love this so much.
Do you want to know the table that was behind me with that mirror on it?
Yeah.
The guy who removes it is him. Ballin.
So wait, so this is reflecting somebody over.
So yeah, Andy is standing here, right? Also, another thing we didn't think about in the test, he can only look at one mirror. So you can put his faces in all these, but only one of them can look at you.
Right.
Right? So this is, again, to match the music. It's love, love. This is our like Queen moment of everything stacking up, right? So I move backwards, and then it gets Dan, who's here, Andy, who's here, Tim, who's down on the floor, and then one of each of them, or two of each of them, right?
Which is so cool, because they're also, the color differential makes it really apparent.
And show your work.
Right.
Like it's not actually that satisfying until you know how it was done.
Right. Oh, but there's something about seeing the behind the scenes first and then the magic trick. It's like showing us how the magic trick is done, and then you show the magic trick.
Yeah, it is. But
it's so
also
fast.
It's taken a while to get this through my thick skull, but like I always think like you got to surprise people. So much is going on so quickly that like it's actually usually better to be like, we're gonna do a trick now.
Yeah.
Here is the trick. Here's how we did the trick. Because if you pile enough of them up, you still have to watch it 10 times to even get that.
Yeah. I mean, my reaction, I was telling the folks here, watching this at some point, and this is what happens with like really great art for me, I just decided to turn my brain off and fucking enjoy it.
Yes.
Because I was like, I don't even want to follow it. I just want to be amazed.
That like, there was like a 15-year period where I couldn't really listen to new music because I was dissecting it. And luckily I'm through that period of my life, and I can feel things again.
Yeah.
But obviously there's an intellectual thrill to these. They're not just feeling, but we want people to get to the place where they just submit.
Yeah.
And like enjoy it.
Well, this does that.
That's just that is fixing a flaw, which is that, like as I said before, we're trying to move through. We have every section sort of gamed out, but we didn't figure out how we were going to make that transition.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, follow the streamer.
But again, it's like the pull away clothing. I can get a streamer on Amazon.
Do you know what? There was two options for that. Both of them still alive until the day before shooting. In our like timeline that we had come up with for it, just no one thought about, oh wait, if we do that, like there was many different layouts. This could have been a big U, it could have been a big circle. If we were in a warehouse, we probably would have tried to do like a spiral, so you see it all at the end. But when we get to this place and we know we're doing it in a long line because it's a beautiful hallway, oh shit, we have to get from the end of that thing all the way to this other thing, which is going to take us 6 seconds to get there or whatever. And how are we going to do that? Well, but we wrote the song. We can just put a pause there. So we were going to have It's Love, pause. And I pick up a little robot that was going to start playing the guitar solo on a little synthesizer as I walk there, and then the song kicks back in. We didn't think of this until a week before the shoot, and you can't get a little robot like that in Hungary where we're shooting, but the BTS shooter, the behind-the-scenes shooter, is still coming from the States, and I ordered one to his house, and it arrived late. So no little robot.
So you had to this was just like...
The other thing is we could use a streamer. And I actually think it wound up much better this way. Like a little practical moment in there where like we play the song live would have been kind of fun, but it also might have totally not worked. Or like programming that robot may have taken a day away from finishing this and we never would have gotten it. But
I think the streamer also, one of the things that the streamer adds from my perspective, like first of all, it's a nice little surprise in the silence, right?
Yeah.
We don't know the streamer's coming. But then like your faces as you're doing the streamers. So this to me sums up the entire video, which is like what is so magical about this is the juxtaposition of extreme absurdity and silliness and playfulness with unbelievable tight rigor and execution.
That is not just this video. Unfortunately, I have 25 years of that problem, but I know what you mean.
I think that's one of the things that makes you and makes you guys so special is like that coupling is so rare in one human brain, but it is so fully a part of your brain.
It just feels lucky to me in the sense that like you don't who gets to spend their time doing this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I remember doing a video with Palobolis, the dance company, and they're such good dancers that what they asked me was like, what's the affect? Are we like happy? Or is this like a sad song? And it was like, the affect is your dancing.
Right.
Like if you're bored up there, look bored. Like we don't want anyone ever to see us acting.
Yeah.
Like we want them to see us attempting this thing at the edge of our abilities and hopefully achieving it.
Yeah.
But like the fact that the thing itself is sort of absurdist is true. But like it's like if you saw us laughing at ourselves in the middle of this, it would all fall apart.
No,
you know?
I mean the fact that he's so serious and you're all so focused. Like we know you have to be insanely focused. You have hundreds of thousands of dollars of electronic robots around you. Like you got to be focused.
Andy in particular, I love watching for that reason because he is an engineer and he is the type of person who like life hacks. You know what I mean? Like he's serious and he's going to get it right. You know, and every video I love watching him because he's like his face gets a little bit more like and it only brings me more joy.
It's so good. This is, and you are 1 in a billion. This is the rarest, scarcest, most beautiful creativity. It's just so, and to be able to sit here with you and talk about it is like treat of treats for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. It's really fun to talk about it in such specific and nerdy way. Like, the main thing is for people to just feel it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I love like going down the rabbit hole, but it's not like
About
that's for
that.
you and me. You know what I mean? Like that. That's a very specific type of enthusiasm that is a much smaller subset of people, and it's really fun to do. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here and walking us through this, and thank you for making these videos. Many, many more, I hope.
Me too.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that episode of Digital Spaghetti. We have an extra episode with Damian where we go through the second half of OK Go's music video and break it down shot by shot, frame by frame.
I ordered fully $2,000 worth of different inner tubes.
Oh, and now you're walking in it.
Figure out the thing that you love to make, that's your voice, and do it and get better at it.
It's awesome. It's available for free. Anyone can watch on our, drumroll please, brand new Patreon page. We're launching a Patreon for people who want a little bit more digital spaghetti in their lives. It's totally free to join. We're gonna have extra episodes over there. We're gonna have more behind the scenes videos with creators. We're gonna have a community of filmmakers and creators and people who wanna learn from each other and have chats and all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be a great space. And I've launched probably, 4 or 5 Patreon pages at this point in my life. And I have learned that if I don't tell everybody that I am CEO and co-founder of Patreon, everybody yells at me in the comment section. So you can't yell at me in the comment section anymore. I'm saying I'm CEO and co-founder of Patreon. I'm not chilling my own thing. I'm telling you that I'm that person. And I'm super excited to have this space over there where we can hang and build a community together. So I will see you over on our Patreon page. Bye, everybody.